We're here today talking with author Steve Huddleston, written the book Fortune's Yoke. So first, just wanted to say thanks for joining us, Steve.
Thank you for having me, Scott. I appreciate it.
Would you tell us a little bit about the book, and you can even intertwine about yourself as well?
Well, what I would like to tell my prospective readers about the book is that it's a good story, and I think you'll enjoy it. I believe you will. It's set in almost a mystical area of the United States, the Appalachian coal fields. But while the setting, the human milieu, if you will, is a bit strange and mysterious, certainly to most people, it is also reality. And the book is about the realities that people face and how an individual's conception of his or her own reality in this world can suddenly be overturned completely and without any act on the part of the person we're talking about here. So what does a person do when that happens? We as human beings, I think, have a natural desire to at least feel or sense some bit of security around us and our situation. Personally, I don't think there is any. I think the only security a person has is his own abilities and devices with which to cope with the vicissitudes of life that will inevitably strike him. So the character are interesting characters, I believe. They're finely drawn, and I believe the story will take you into this sphere of human life, and within that confront I guess some universal themes that we all deal with as human beings. And let me not forget, in the final analysis, it's the story that counts, and I think it's a good story. I think you'll find it interesting and entertaining.
So in your writing of this book, you mentioned it's a story, it's a novel. What inspired you to put pen to paper and write this book? What was that process like?
I don't know that inspiration has a whole lot to do with it. I am a native Kentuckian, and I have, throughout my childhood, been very interested in and fascinated with the Appalachian culture. A big part of Kentucky, of course, is in Appalachia. I remember as a young child in my early teens, I suppose, is when the so-called War on Poverty was instituted by President Johnson. I think President Kennedy also personally involved himself in Appalachia with personal visits there, and there was a lot of publicity, a lot of features and documentaries on television about the terrible material plight of the people in Appalachia, and I've noticed that and paid attention to it and was drawn to it, and I have therefore spent a lot of time in the eastern coal fields. During my lifetime, I was at one time I'm a lawyer. I was a general counsel to the Kentucky Department of Mines and Minerals, so I have a good deal of personal experience about that of which I write.
Okay.
And I wanted to tell the whole story. Appalachian life has produced, quite a few studies, and a lot of literature has come out of that societal structure. But usually, while all those things are good and have their purposes, usually they kind of focus or have a particular point of view or address a particular aspect of that very complex culture that exists there.
Mm-hmm.
What I wanted to do is write the whole story. I wanted to write a story that incorporates materially into the story all facets of the culture there, not just the coal miners' situation or the mine owners' situation or the small subsistence farmers' situation, but all of them together, melding together to form this what I would call a very interesting and unique culture in this great land of ours. And I tried to do it in a fair and unbiased way. There are no real out and out villains in this book, nor any out and out heroes, in my view. Now, the reader might, of course, form a different opinion. What I'm trying to do is lay it out as fairly and honestly as I can, and let the reader form his or her own judgments about that sort of thing.
Well, it almost sounds like a way of honoring the culture and just presenting it, like you said. That's what I was thinking as you were talking, in an unbiased perspective, just laying it out there through the story, through a novel, but just kind of laying it out there for the audience.
I like that when you say trying to honor the culture, because I don't know that it was in my mind, but now that you say it, yes, I believe that's what I am trying to do, and do it by illuminating, if I may be so bold as to think I could do that, but illuminating all of the aspects of it that meld together and make it what we might generally say is the Appalachian culture. Well, generally, there is something that lends itself to description.
Yeah.
However, that something is an overall description, but it's all these little individual lives and acts and deeds and decisions and omissions that have taken place underneath that have created the broad picture. I'm trying to tell those small stories.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know, I would like to say it's a fairly gritty story. I don't think anything's varnished much. And adult human beings do a lot of things in this life, and my characters are adult human beings.
Yeah, a lot of character development. Anything else you want to share, parting words about your book that you want to share with us?
Well, isn't that a tough question to answer? In a way, it sounds simple. Read the book. If you're interested in cultures that maybe you don't know a lot about, people who grew up in Appalachia, they probably won't find anything much surprising about the storyline. I would still hope they enjoyed the story. But if you're not familiar with that kind of culture, and you're probably, when I say familiar, I mean some degree of intimacy familiar. Everybody knows something about the Appalachian coal fields. Well, if you read my book, I think you'll know more. And these are very interesting people.
Yeah.
And for a lot of reasons, but one is that the particular place where they live makes it difficult to flourish or even exist in a type of what we might call mainstream American culture, American dream, white picket fence, all the things that we might associate with typical good old American life. It's hard. That's hard to achieve in Appalachia. It just doesn't. The area just doesn't lend itself to that.
Yeah.
And therefore, you get behaviorisms that are affected that way because of that, and may be difficult to understand if you're not, and easily misjudged, I might add, if you're not actually there experiencing those same pressures and stresses. In fact, if this kind of thing interests you, read my book. I think you'll understand a whole lot about the Appalachian coal fields when you're finished. Thank you.
Well, Steve, thanks for joining us. Thanks for sharing about your book, about your story. You can grab a copy of this book, Fortune's Yoke, online through Amazon, through Barnes and Noble. It's available paperback or Kindle version if you prefer to read on a tablet or something along those lines. But thanks again for joining us, Steve. The
Thank you.
title of the book is Fortune's Yoke.